Okay, so welcome back. We've concluded the ordered list on ordered list and the description link. So, but before I move on, I don't know if any of you have any questions. So let's quickly look at the form. That's what we're going to be stopping for today after the forms, and then we'll move on to CSS. So, if anybody has any question, can you identify? There's something you don't understand about the list, any form of the list. I can explain before we move ahead. Okay, fine. If there's no question, so let's move ahead. The HTML forms. Just like you can see on the screen, the HTML forms are used to select different kinds of user inputs. HTML forms are used to pass data to a server. For instance, now you want to create a registration form, you want to create an application form, job forms, quiz, maybe any sort of form, maybe an event form, or maybe a contact us form, anything. So it is nice that you have such forms on your website, on any project you're working on. So what the HTML forms does is that it gives you the enablement to make that into a real stuff, and then it communicates with server. It passes whatever data that has been saved on the form to the server. So from the back end, or you get it from front end or back end, whatever result, depending on what you're using for your development. Now, an HTML form can contain inputs, elements like text field, checkbox, rater buttons, submit buttons, and more. And for some of us that are in this training, I know we are familiar with forms already. Maybe I show us an example of a form. Let me go to the browser. Okay, don't mind what you're seeing on the screen is our next project. What you're seeing on the screen is the next project. I'm working on a web development, like a video sharing website. So let's search for, let's see different kind of forms. Let's see. Go to google.com. So we'll check out forms. Form layers. Let's say form layout. So forms layout. So we'll go to images. You can see, for instance, let's look at this form. You can see this form. This is a form, the different kind of form. Or let me go to gmail.com. Like, let me go to gmail.com to see if let me go to gmail.com and see the form for Gmail. I'm going to log out right here. I think it has logged me. It has logged me in automatically. So maybe I need to create an account. Let's see, add an account. What I'm just trying to do, I'm trying to show us categories of forms, different kind of forms. There are different kind of form. Could be the sign-up form, could be the sign-in form, could be any kind of form. But you need to understand how this form works. So let me come over here and say, add an account. So create an account. Let's say for myself. So you see, this is a form, a very simple form. This is a sign-up form for Google. So most websites have their forms. They have contact forms. They have application form. A website like netafe.org. Let's look at it. I think these guys are into loan. So let's go to the application form. Say apply here. Let's look at your form. So let me click on apply here. Let's look at how the form looks like. It's taking a bit while to load. I think I'm having a downtime of my server out here. I'm just trying to explain, show us different kind of forms. Yeah. So loan application form. So you see, these are all forms. This is a kind of form that you can see. This is the form that you use. Now, when you're using the CMS, like the popular form builders, you have the contact form 7, you have the contact form 7, contact form 7. So you have the contact form 7 is a popular form builder. So if you go to contact form 7, you'll check out their website, see different kind of forms that they offer. We have WP forms used for WordPress as a CMS. They have different kind of forms. But so today we're going to be looking at to create a form. Now you might be wondering, why do we need to learn this form, or why do we need it? We need it because for every web development project, you need a form. Could be a contact form, could be a sign-up form, could be whatever form. Do you want, maybe you want your clients to contact you, so you need a contact form on your website development. You really need those kind of form to go ahead with. And so right here, like I said, an HTML form can contain inputs, elements like text field, checkbox, rated buttons, submit buttons, and more. Now, a form can also contain select list, text area, feed set, legend, and label elements. So from all those forms I just showed you, you can agree with me that we have radio buttons, we have submit buttons, we have select list, we have text area, we have feed set, and then we have legend and label element. So we're going to be doing our first form right away. We're going to be doing our first form, but I need you to understand something. You need to understand the syntax and how it works, how to input elements in form. Now, if you look at this syntax here, it's just giving the syntax for form is just like your normal way of opening a tag. You open a form tag and close a form tag, and then you input your elements. So if you are with your Visual Studio, your editor, we might have to try this together. And so right away, I'm going to go back to I'm going to go back to our text editor right now, because we're trying to generate a form. I'm come over here. So don't worry about this. Okay, don't worry about this. We're going to do that from inside we're going to do that form. Let me create a body. Let me add a body tag to this. This is this is our first project that we did in trying to test run open tags and close tags, if you can remember. So I'm going to open a body tag. I'll just open a body tag. So whatever we're going to be doing is going to be on the body of the web page. First, let's input the form elements. Let's give it a form. And then let's close it. Let's give it a, let's input an element. Let's input elements. Input elements. Let's see. I'm just trying to text. Let's run this. So let me open this with a live server. Okay, so we're going to be working on the body of this particular web page, but I need to get rid of all these things so you can understand what I'm doing better. So let me get rid of this and put it away. So let me save this. Let me go back and see. We'll go back to the share screen and then see. I pull up those data, I go back to my code editor. Okay, so we're going to be writing our first tag. Over here, we're going to learn how to input elements. We're going to learn how to input our first element. The input element is used to select user information, and the input element can vary in many ways depending on any type of attribute you're giving to it. And an input element can be a type of text field, checkbox, password, radio button. We're going to be seeing all that. So for instance, this is a clear example. So we're going to generate something like this and see how it's going to look like. So we give it a form. Maybe first name, we give it an input type. For first name, you need to give it an input type of text name. But let's go back to the code editor. Let's see if we can achieve this. So let me go back to the code editor. Let me go back to our code editor. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and just let me give it a body. Say input. No, I'm not going to give it a div class. Let me just give it an input tab. Please, if you can see the screen, we're going to be coding right now. We give it an input type of text, and then the name is first name. Then you break it down with an input type of text, and then the name is last name. So let's go ahead and see if we can achieve that. So let's say input type of text name. Give it an input type, input type. Input type, give it a text. If we can, I want you all to go ahead and do what I'm doing on the screen. So give it a name, whatever, let's say first name. So for each tag you're doing, you need to close the tag, and then you close it. Now, ideally, I'm supposed to open another input, but I'm just gonna break this right now to BR. Let me break this. Oh, sorry, I think I just did a mistake. So let me go. I just want to break this right now. Give it a tag to break these. It's a BR. Close it right away. Click on enter. So let's give it another input. So input. We're gonna give it an input type of another text again. Give it a text. Well, the same thing. Text name. Give it a name of last name. So we give it a last name, and then what to give it. Just make sure you see what I'm doing. Make sure you see what I am doing, and then you close your tag. But first, we omit something. We omit something. This form element is just good. We need to get rid of this and then put it down right here in our form. Let's see. We close the form. All right, so let's go back to our live server and check what we've done. Let's go back to the live server. So this, you can see this column here, but it's not looking nice, not at all. Obviously, it's not looking nice. It's looking terrible. It's looking terrible. So maybe I do something. Let's go back to our code editor. Let's go back to our code editor so that I can do. Let's go back to our code editor. Let's do something. So let's say before the input name, let's give it a first name. First name, and then over here, let's give it a last name. Yeah, last name. Click on speaks. Let's save. Let's go back to. So you see, but we're gonna be creating a form right now. So I'll teach you how to do that. We're gonna be creating a form. Maybe a different form, but I just needed to follow suit. Look at what is on the screen so you make mistake. And then if there's a miss, move on, then we can actually move on. Take your time, look at what's on the screen. Maybe I go back to the code editor, and show you what was generated so you could see that. And then if we can move on, I give you maybe, I just even give you 2 to 3 minutes, look at that before we move on. Because we're gonna be creating our first form right now. All right, so let's create another form. So this is what we have on the screen. Not bad. Let's try another set of form before we move into another greater form. So I'm going to come over and let's go back to our code editor again. That we need to create a different from what we've just had here. So what I'm just going to do right now, is to define the form. Let's say let's define the form from the body, giving a H2 heading, and then you put in the action of the form, the file action, and then you put in the label for each form. So what I'm gonna do right now, let me give it a H one time. Let me just watch and follow what I'm gonna be doing right now. So let's say H2 tag. Let's see. HTML forms. Let's say wherever test forms, test form. This form that I'm going to be generating, we're going to be giving it an action. We're going to put like a functional form. So what we're going to be doing after the heading, we need to put a form action. Maybe it's in PHP. Maybe you're trying to generate a contact form that needs to send server. So you need to get a contact with PHP form from the back end, that whenever a user hover to that form and fill in the form, you're going to get information. But the action that we're going to be setting for this form, let's give it we're just doing a test run from front end development. So let's give it an action of /PHP. So let's say form action. I'm going to come over here. Let's get rid of this. Take this, cut it over, bring it here. Sorry about it. Trying to arrange this stuff right here. So let's give it a form action. Just say action. And now the action that we're going to give it, maybe for the form to work perfectly well, you need to give it an action, whatever you're saving that form as, the form file name. So wherever a user goes to the back end of the front end of the website of filling the form, it's just going to send it directly to the server. So that's why you need to give it the action from something. Because I'm doing a test run, I put it like action. A direct part of PHP or stuff like that's an action. I put it in the subform. We gave it like this, and then why you see this? Okay, I'm gonna get there's a mistake. I'm gonna get rid of that guy here. So we're gonna start defining the form right now. So let's give it a label of first name. We're gonna give it a label. Let's give it a label of first name. So what I'm gonna do is that after giving a label of first name, we're gonna give it the input type. The label is what you're gonna see in the form. The first form we created, there was no label. We just create the form just like without giving it a label. So we're gonna put in a label for the form. So let's say I'm gonna come over here, type label. Label could be of any kind, maybe first or last name, maybe it could be first, the label for could be first name, you put a first name, and then you put the input type. So that's a label for what? For first name. That's a label for, you put first name. First name. Once you're done putting the label for first name, you just have to write first name and then close it. All right, so are you all following? I'm gonna do this right now. I put first name, and then we need to break this down. Give me a BR. We need to break this down. When we give it an input type. So let's give it an input type. Remember, we added input type. The input type should be text. Then the ID should be first name and then the name itself. So give it an input type. Let's go and set input type. Now the input type has to be text. After the input has given an ID of first name. Give it an ID of what? First name. After giving an idea of first name, you define the name. There's a name. Sorry about the first name. You go again to name. Is of course, give it a name. What is the first name that we give it a value? You write the name. It's a first name. Let's go by give it a value. A value, you can write any name, maybe Jeremy. Jeremy. Give it a value, and then we need to break it again. BR, and then we need to put in the level for the last name. We'll go again and say level. Level 4. Let's say level 4. Sorry, level 4. The last name. The same way you did it, the same way you did for the first name, it's just still something that you're gonna do. Label for last name, you put in the name as last name, right? This time around, we're not gonna be using the IDD. Well, this time around, we're not gonna be using the IDD. You just have to close the tag and then give it a last name, right? Last name, last name. But we're gonna be defining the last name. All right. Okay, and then we'll break down the value and put the input type. You need to break down the value and put in the input type. So I think I need to make this moderate. I think I'm losing out something. Okay, let me give you a breakdown. Beer, let me break this value. So we're gonna give it an input type. I think there's a mistake. Input type. Input type. As last name. The input type, we're going to give an input type as text. Input type, we're going to be text in the ID, text. The same way I'm just going to do right here. I think I just need to copy this guy over here and come over here just to save our time. So I'm going to change the value. So this should be L. We're just going to change the value to last name. So write it, Jeremy John. Yeah, here we go. Here are BR. No. BR again. So we're gonna add the submit button. What we're doing, we're gonna input type submit. Now we can also add text area, but let's look at what we've done. Let's give it an input type of submit. Input type, let's say submit. Input type, it should be submit. Submit. And then we define the value as submit. And then you go out, define value. Value should be submit. Then after you close your tag. And then we save it. Now, the reason we put this action underscore page.php, it's that when you're programming from the backend, you need to get this page. So whenever anybody clicks on submit, the form redirected sends this, so redirected to this very page to send the response that has been designed in this very page. But since we're working on the front end already, let's look at our live server. Let's check out what we've done so far. Let's go ahead. Sorry about that. I just stopped the sharing. I'm sorry about that. So let me go back to our live server. Let's see. So this is the text form that we've done. This is the text form that we've done. And now, if you click on this submit button, maybe it's going to show an error. So it's supposed to take you to a page. Cannot get action.php. You can see it right here because we've not added this page. That's why. So that's the action of the form. So let's go back to the form. Maybe we need to add in a text error. We need to add in a text error over here. So we need to put in an input type. But besides that, Let me go back to our lecture note and see. For each field, maybe an input for password field, you just need to input the give it an input type of password, but that's not what we're going to be looking because I'm not creating a registration form. Basically, that's how form are going to be created. For each field you need to use, you need to give it an input type. For each field that you want to input on your form, you need to put in an input type of that field. Basically, so I think we need to try another form that comes in with a text area, text field. There's so many kind of forms you can even imagine, or maybe you put in the select box, check box, any kind of form you want to try. But let's try to see if we can create a full contact form. Let's try and see if we can create a full contact form, contact us form. Let's try it and see if we can create a full contact us form in HTML. I don't know if you're following. So in our next class, we're going to be looking at how to, we're trying to round up with the HTML courses, of course. Let's create a full contact us form, and thereafter, we're going to move on. We have less than 15 to 20 minutes to achieve that. So I don't know if you have any question. You can ask me while we go ahead and prepare a form for the contact us form. That should be our last that should be what our last project for today. All right, now let's go ahead and create a contact us form. And to do that, we need to over to our code editor. Let's see how we can create a contact us form. I'm going to get rid of this, obviously. I need to get rid of it. So we're going to start right away. Give it in the, we're going to start right away. And so we're going to start the form. We're going to start it from scratch. So we start from scratch. So I'm going to get rid of this guy over here. Oh, really? I have 10 minutes to go. Maybe I have to stop here. On our next class, I'll show you how to achieve that aim. Before we move in, what I just thought I could do was just to get, I already had a contact form for us, maybe that we can actually learn from. Let's look at it and see how it looks like. And we had the CSLs, got a placeholder. Let's look at it and see how it looks like. So this is the contact form that we're supposed to be creating. And then we have a select, we have select right here, first name, we have last name, we have country, which is the radio. Then we have a text area. I think we're going to be doing this on Wednesday. This is the first thing we're going to be doing on Wednesday, how to create this form and how to go about it. So I'm going to stop right here today. See you guys on Wednesday. We'll continue from where we stop. We'll learn how to create this contact form. And after the contact form, we'll move on to our next. After the contact form, we'll move on to our next lesson tutorial. We'll move on to the next lesson tutorial and see how we can get rid of all this site, some drop down list, and then text area, which I just talked about. There are 11 element types of forms, element, button, checkbox. These are the different types of form element. We have the button, we have checkbox, we have file upload, hidden password, radio, research object, but this really are very important that you should know them. But that's if you're going to a tedious web development project. That's why you need to have these things from the back end. All right, thank you very much for your time. And by Wednesday, we should be entering into Cascaded Style Sheets. We're through with HTML. The first project that we're going to be doing on Wednesday should be the form, and then after the form, we're going to styling immediately. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you for your time for today. Do have a nice day. My name still remains Jeremy John. Thank you very much.